Okay, Mr. Babu, if you can see this and hear it, we're on. Audio to a microphone right now that you should be able to see. Well, hold on here. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. You should be able to see and hear me right now. So,
Thank you both.
actually,
Thank you.
in about 10 seconds.
Yeah.
Take your little name tags home when you're done.
All right. Okay, I'm going to shut that microphone off and go back to graphics, and I'm waiting for the cable to go live at 7 o'clock. Thank you. Okay, all right, talk to you later. Bye. All right, we're going with the radio, so we'll shut that.
Oh, yeah. Hello.
Test.
Hello there.
Test, test.
Good evening and welcome. Thank you for joining us tonight for our Two Harbors City Councilors Candidate Forum. I'm Amy Jo Fisher. I'm a Two Harbors resident, and I'm your host for this evening. We're pleased to be able to provide this informative session thanks to the Lake County Press, KTWH Radio, who is broadcasting live this evening, and Two Harbors Community Television. Jose Leon from Two Harbors Community Television is live streaming tonight and providing video recording that will be available after tonight, both on YouTube and on the city's internet presence. Our forum tonight is being moderated by Katya Gordon from the Lake County Press, and our timekeeper is Fran Callagher from KTWH. The candidates we will be hearing from tonight are Caitlin Cobbs and Mike Cassell, who are our at-large candidates, and our Ward 1 candidates, Uriah Hefter and Miles Woodruff. The ground rules, and I'm not gonna say this for the second round, so everybody pay attention. We're gonna have 2 sessions. Round 1 will be the at-large candidates, Caitlin and Mike. Round 2 will be the Ward 1 candidates, Uriah and Miles. Each round will be no longer than 45 minutes, but each round could also end earlier, depending upon how long the questions and answer period are. In each round, Katya will prompt each candidate to take 2 minutes to introduce themselves, tell us why you're here, why you're running, what you would like the community to know about you. After those introductions, Katya will begin asking questions of the candidates. Candidates will have 3 minutes to answer the questions, and will hear a warning sound when there are 30 seconds left of their 3 minutes in each answer. That's the sound. When you hit the 3-minute mark, she's gonna ring the heck out of that bell. And we'd ask that you finish the sentence that you're saying, and then you're done. It's important to know for the audience, for those of you online and here in the room tonight, that there are 2 questions that are being asked of the candidates that they were provided ahead of time. So they were more complex in nature, and we did provide all 4 candidates the opportunity to prepare for those 2 questions. At the end of each round, at about between the 35 and 40-minute mark at the end of the round, Katya will close questioning and invite each of the candidates to make closing remarks. The person who went last in the intros goes first in the closing remarks. And each candidate is asked to take up to 2 minutes to explain why people may want to vote for them and for any other concerns or information they want to share. Katya, the floor is yours.
All right. Great. All right, we're going to start with our 2 minutes of introduction, and we'll start with candidate Cassell. If you want to start, just give us a 2-minute introduction of yourself and why you're here.
All right. Well, thanks for having me and us. My name is Mike Cassell. I've been in Two Harbors the majority of my life. I'm married and I have 2 adult children. I guess I want to be open and honest and have discussions with the community and other council members and try to be honest about all of them. I really want to try to put these conversations or discussions into action, try to get things done as fast as we can in the most beneficial way for Two Harbors. I just want to try to represent the citizens of our community.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, candidate Cobbs, your chance to give a 2-minute introduction on why you're here.
Yeah, hi, my name's Caitlin Cobbs. A lot of people know me by Kate or Katie in town. I live here with my wife. I've been here almost 6 years now, which has flown by. I have no kids, but I have 2 huskies and a cat, a couple of cats. And I am running because I just really love the city. I fell in love with the city when I moved here. I got involved in some volunteer work that really made me passionate about the things going on here. I started working with Rotary and with community partners and the library. The library was one of the first places I went when I came here because we didn't have internet hookup, and I needed internet. And I just fell in love with all of its intricacies and the history of the area. I majored in history at St. Cloud State, and so history is very close to my heart. And I'm running because I was frustrated over the last year. I like politics. I pay attention to politics on a big and small scale, and so kind of watching what happened and watching some things get passed around and not happen and not being talked about. I just felt like we could do a little better for the city, and so that's kind of what prompted me to run and why I'm here.
Thank you. All right, the first question we will ask candidate Cobbs, and the question is to please help us understand the type of leader you will be for your constituents by describing your 2 highest priorities for 2 Harbors in the short term and your single highest priority for the long term. I can repeat any question if anyone needs me to repeat.
Awesome. 2 highest priorities in the short term and the highest priority in the long term. Housing is number 1 on my list, and I'm sure everyone up here is going to say housing because it's a huge problem and we all know it. A lot of times in my work, I've taken a lot closer look at folks who don't have housing, folks who are in subpar housing, folks who are on a limited income for housing, and I'm seeing a real need there, and that extends up to working families needing housing. So I think that is both a priority short term on what we can do right now for families who need homes, who are forced to leave 2 Harbors, to go to Duluth, to go to other places to find somewhere to live. I mean, we're losing people that way, and that's a shame, especially when they want to live here. The long-term look at that, and that's my priority long-term, is how do we create something sustainable for our community that is a nationwide problem. Housing shortage is going on everywhere. And I want us to figure out how we can create more of a supply for that housing so that our community can continue to thrive and continue to bring in people who want to live here and want to be a part of this, who want to work here and bring their families here and make this a really thriving and vibrant community. I have quite a few ideas on how to do that, and I'll get into those a little bit. The second short-term priority I think that our city really needs an injection of is transparency. And I think we're going to hear that a lot tonight. It's been kind of thrown around a lot, but I want us to just talk about why we're making those decisions. I know that sometimes in a small town, you think everyone knows everything that you're saying, everything that you're talking about. And I want us to be transparent to the point it's obnoxious. I've said this before, but if we're voting on a new parking lot and someone's like, I can't vote for it because I really love those trees. I used to take my kids over to play by those trees. It sounds like it doesn't matter, but it does. I want to know why you don't want that parking lot. And that's what I want to bring to just how we do things. I want us to talk about them.
Thank you. All right, candidate Cassell. I'll ask the question for each of you twice, so you hear it for yourself. Help us understand the type of leader you will be for your constituents by describing your 2 highest priorities for 2 Harbors in the short term and your single highest priority for the long term.
I got to agree with Katie. I think housing is huge problem, whether it's in 2 Harbors or throughout the country. I've talked to some younger people that would love to get back to the 2 Harbors area, and they're struggling trying to find whether it's apartment to rent or affordable housing to purchase. I guess I don't know exactly how to do that, but I'd like to talk about it and try to come up with a game plan to try to do that for younger kids that are just coming out of college, wanting to be back in our beautiful area. And again, with the seniors that are trying to downsize, I don't think there's enough for either of them. I guess my long-term is continue to update our roads and some of the dilapidated homes, I guess. Maybe that's the wrong terminology, but some of them that aren't as eye appealing, and try to help out with that in some way.
Thank you. All right, next question first goes to candidate Cassell. And the question is, how do you serve this community already? And will this change if you win? Could you just share your thoughts about that?
I serve this community currently. I work at Danny's Auto Shop, so I'm involved with a lot of the public there. My wife and I and daughter own Port City Nutrition, so we see a lot of the city there, a lot of people. And we also own Due North Pizza. I try to be involved. I enjoy coming to some of the council meetings and watching to see what's going on. Sometimes I just watch from home. There's been some negative stuff there. I feel like I can bring positivity to this. I don't really think it's going to change the way I feel about how our city runs. I just want to be a part of it and try to make a positive change.
Thank you. Candidate Cobbs, how do you serve this community already, and will this change if you win? Could you share your thoughts about that?
Yeah. Through my work, I work with North Shore Horizons. I talk about that a lot, and I'm hopeful that my work won't change there. As much as I am excited to be running for city council and want to work for the city, my work there is my passion, and it's really important to me. So I'm hopeful that it won't change, and I don't really want to allow it to change there, other than being transparent about where I work and when that may come up, particularly with nonprofits and things like that. I currently volunteer quite a bit. I like to do it. It's a really great way for me to connect with community members, as I don't have kids. So I volunteer with community partners. I really enjoy their adult game night and things like that. I also work with Friends of the Library. I enjoy doing that. And of course the Edna G, which is also kind of my pet project, for lack of a better term. I think that if things are going to change, it'll probably be how I prioritize my time, and how I have to kind of readjust some of those things. And the changing will be, again, being really open and honest about what I do and where I'm doing those things. Right now, I'm currently a board member for Friends of the Edna G, and so I want to be honest about that as those things come up. I also want to be honest, too, that if I were to not win, I hope to join a commission. I think the Edna G Commission's looking for people, so that's on my list, should this not work out that way. But yeah, that's about it.
Thank you. Question 6. This is for candidate Cobbs first. What are the challenges that Two Harbors faces, and what do you envision as the best way to address them?
Oh, goodness. The challenges Two Harbors faces. I've gone into a little bit about the housing, and that's a nationwide issue. I think we can take a really multifaceted approach on that housing. Right now, I know there's some work being done to bring in 60 units of housing for aging communities so that they can age in place. That I would hope would open up starter homes for working families and move people around and up that way. I think there's a lot of different things we can do to bring other housing in the area. I want to work with kind of all the aspects we don't always think about. I've talked a lot about it, but where I'm from is Malacca, which is about a similar size to Two Harbors, about 2 hours southwest of here. And they run a program where their trade programs in their high school work to build homes from start to finish. They have trades come in and help them work on plumbing and electric and those kinds of things. They then sell those homes for cost so that they can do it again the next year. And I think that if somehow the city can make way for that to be easier or facilitate that in some way or help, I think that would be a really great opportunity for housing. Some of the other things I see that are going to become, I think, bigger issues, and I'm already seeing kind of some discourse about it, is people coming up to visit and how many people are coming up to visit. And some people don't want those people and some people do want those people, and all of that surrounding that. What I look at is I really want a balance. We can't tell people they can't come up. We don't want that at all. It's beautiful up here. That's how people come up to visit. That's how I ended up here, partly. And so finding a balance in how we do that and how we keep things unique to us while still facilitating and making room for those people to come up and enjoy the area, I think are really important.
Thank you. So, candidate Cassell, here's the question for you. What are the challenges that Two Harbors faces, and what do you envision as the best way to address them?
I think we face a lot of challenges, including, like Katie and I both said, about housing. I said the roads. I think our residents have some ideas as well. It'd be nice to listen to them more often. I don't want to say more often, with more time involved. I know some of the meetings in the past when there was some negativity going on, they got to come up for, I believe it was 3 minutes and talk, and I think they should be heard longer than that. I think they should, granted, I believe there needs to be a limit, but the residents are our community, so we should hear them and take into consideration what they have to say and try to act on some of it. And I think that's the best way to help our entire city, is listening and putting it into action.
Thank you. All right, the next question, candidate Cassell will be first for this one. What is your vision for the waterfront at Agate Bay? Putting aside any current barriers of ownership, financing, or zoning, what would your plan for the waterfront be?
That's a really good and probably touchy subject. I would love to see something happening in that area, but I'd like to see it on the scale size of Two Harbors. Whether it's a small park for smaller concerts or shows or smaller festivals, even the fair, just a place where the community and tourists alike can come together and enjoy the waterfront. I definitely want it not to detour from our natural resources. I want the lake to be seen, and from all the areas that it can be seen right now currently in Two Harbors, but I guess I'd like to see some smaller development for our area, and hopefully it would attract businesses, jobs, people wanting to move to Two Harbors and be here for year-round residency.
Thank you. All right, candidate Cobbs, what is your vision for the waterfront at Agate Bay? Putting aside any current barriers of ownership, financing, or zoning, what would your plan for the waterfront be?
Yeah, I think really similarly to what Mike said on that, there's some specific things I'd like to see, and I think that Mike is right. There is some controversy. I've been lucky enough to have some longtime residents tell me a little bit about that, but I think that I want to start with cleaning up some of the things that if they were running perfectly would be amazing. So a while ago, somebody came and spoke about the cement dock that's kind of falling apart out there, and is that a hazard, and what that looks like, and what can we do to either, make that feasible to be used or remove it, those kinds of things. There's also the ongoing discussion about the Edna G and creating a long-term running feasible museum. I mean, that is where a lot of my passion lies in a lot of the history of Two Harbors. So that one's huge for me. I think that would be such an asset to our waterfront without really detracting from anything or adding, because it's already there. So I love that idea. Getting the lighthouse light shining again. You know, when I first moved here, it was kind of a comfortable thing to see. And there's a huge cost associated with getting that up and running again. I love the natural areas. I want those to stay the way they are. I think that is what makes our waterfront so incredibly special. You know, I love Duluth and I love Canal Park. I don't need more than one Canal Park. Maybe some people do, and we can talk about that because I don't have all the answers. This is just kind of what I would love to see. But I think that we can bring in some things, some businesses and some growth to that. I've learned recently that the picnic shelter at Lakeview Park is open and used by people almost every weekend. I think another picnic shelter would be amazing. Maybe a warming house, some snowshoe trails, some interpretive trails, historical signs, those kinds of things. You know, I know that right now we have kayak rentals in the summer at Burlington Bay, maybe some more things like that. You know, you can rent snowshoes, you could rent bikes. I've seen some really cool things done with food trucks, and I think the city's working its way to really having a thriving food truck community, for lack of a better word. Is that my warning or am I done? Okay. So yeah, bringing in some of those things that really adds to the assets of what we already have, because it's such a gorgeous area.
Thank you. All right, this question is for candidate Cobbs first. Do you think it is advisable for the Festival of Sail to come to Two Harbors again? Why or why not? And what beneficial changes in the event would you like to see if it returns?
Yeah, so I got to be honest, Festival of Sails, I was one of the first people that was like, this isn't going to go well. This is going to be bad. It's going to be a ship show, for lack of a better word. Full disclosure there, that was me. I was really worried about it. I live right downtown. I was worried about parking. I was worried about people. Can I take my dogs out when they need to go? Are people going to try and park in my lawn? I mean, I was worried about it. That being said, I was wrong. I think I was really, really wrong. I think it went smoothly. I think that our city workers and our police force did an incredible job of making things go well and smoothly. And so I would love to see it again. Some things that I think could change. I would like to see some forward momentum sooner for events like this. I think a lot of my fear about this and concern was kind of these last minute decisions. You know, I believe it was like 2 weeks before the event, the contract was approved and the police force could then finally come talking about their plan and those kinds of things. I'd like to see that happen sooner, and I'd like to see a public forum or at least meetings or information for, you know, people who are concerned to say, this is why I'm concerned. I think there wasn't an outlet for that this time, and that led to a lot of people being really frustrated. So those are some of the things that I would change, just kind of right off the bat with that. And I'm pleased how well it went. I had a blast at it. I worked Edna G. I worked with North Shore Horizons. I got my picture with the giant rubber ducky. So I would like to see that again. And I think it went far better than I was anticipating.
Thank you. Candidate Cassell, do you think it is advisable for the Festival of Sail to come to Two Harbors again? Why or why not? And what beneficial changes in the event would you like to see if it returns?
So I'm going to agree with Katie on a whole bunch of that. I know when I heard it was coming to town, I thought it was going to be awesome. And I think it was awesome. I think the city and everybody who was involved with planning it, I think our police force did an unbelievable job. some people have told me that they thought there was too much force. I don't believe that. I don't think anything negative happened, so I welcome it. I would love to see it happen again, whether it's the Tall Ship Festival of Sales or any other festival. I think we need it for our town. I think it brings people downtown to see the beautiful area that we have, when a whole lot of times they don't get down here, they pass through. I guess the thing that I would like to see a little bit different, I'd like to see everybody keep calm about it when something happens instead of panicking about it. I think there was a whole lot of that by everybody, including myself. I was nervous, but I'm glad that it happened the way it happened. Like Katie said, I'd like to see the public be involved with it a little bit more. It was fun. I think everybody that stuck around Two Harbors that lived here enjoyed themselves. We had some great bands. It was fun. The community that stayed in town enjoyed themselves.
Thank you. This question is for candidate Cassell first. What is your position on maintaining a balance between environmental sustainability and economic development? How important is this balance, and is a good balance currently being maintained in Two Harbors?
Can you repeat that one more time?
Sure. What is your position on maintaining a balance between environmental sustainability and economic development? How important is this balance, and is a good balance currently being maintained in Two Harbors?
I guess I don't know enough about that subject to relate to it right now. I think the natural resources are huge, but I guess I can't answer if Two Harbors is doing a good job with that right now. I don't have a good answer.
All right, thank you. And so I'll pass it to candidate Cobbs. What is your position on maintaining a good balance, or a balance, between environmental sustainability and economic development? How important is this balance, and is a good balance currently being maintained in Two Harbors?
So I'll start with that. I think it's incredibly important. We are on a lake that is connected to other states, other countries. It's the largest freshwater lake, I believe, in the world, definitely in the U.S. So it's huge, and protecting that is important to all of us. I think that with the upgrades to the water treatment plant, that's a really big step. It had, I believe it was like the 50s when it was originally upgraded. So that's a big step in improving technology for how we do that. When we talk about environmentalism and the lake, I think specifically about Two Harbors, almost every year we get a warning in Agate Bay. I don't know if anyone else has got that, where you can't swim in it because of the E. coli. I don't know the science behind that. I'm not sure why what's happening. I think that might be an issue. I don't think it's happening unironically because the city's right here, and that's where it's our wastewater or our flow-off water is coming into it. I think that when we talk about particularly developing the waterfront or anything up there, we really have to look at the environmental impact of how we are addressing the lake. As far as how the city's doing right now, I'm not completely sure. What I would like to see is us working to maybe promote some smaller things with our neighbors. You know, Shoreview natives coming into town here and doing native plants at the library and the community center. I really like seeing that. Native plants, particularly prairie plants, are known to have really deep root systems, and I know that those roots do a really good job of helping to filter some of those things we don't want in our lake water, so to speak. And when we talk about developing that lakefront, we have to address the big lakes. So, you know, I mean, I think it's really essential, and I think that we have to examine all sides of it, whether it's wetlands or runoff or how those things look. And And I'm starting to ramble because I'm not sure how the city's doing, like Mike said, so I'm going to stop.
Thank you. Next question was for candidate Cobbs first. The available metrics suggest that we lack affordable housing in Two Harbors. What are your plans to address this problem? Are there policies used in other cities that you would or would not support implementing in Two Harbors?
Yeah, I've talked a little bit about so far some of my ideas for housing, the trade program in building affordable housing. Hopefully with a aging in place housing, opening up some of those other homes in the area. I really want the city to get out of the way, so to speak. I don't want us to buy houses. I don't think the city of Two Harbors buying houses is going to help anybody long term. But I want us to make it easier for houses to be rebuilt, like Mike said, some of those dilapidated houses. I read an article recently about a city in Washington that is taxing owners of houses that are sitting empty for 12 months or more. So no one's living in them. They're just kind of rotting there. And so the city charges a little bit more taxes in that. And so maybe that's something we look at. I know there's a shortage, and I know that we have so many avenues on how we want to look at it. You know, working closer and really listening to the city HRA and the county HRA and hoping to come to a more cohesive working environment with that. I know there's been some stuff, I don't know the logistics of it in the past, but I think that if we can put our heads together and you know, we can get out of the way if you want to do that, and we can help with this, we can really bring in some of that extra housing.
Thank you. All right, so candidate Cassell, the same question. The available metrics suggest that we lack affordable housing in Two Harbors. What are your plans to address that problem, and are there policies used in other cities that you would or would not support implementing in Two Harbors?
So I know we have, I'm going to call it an eyesore, and that'd be the John A. Johnson. I believe that's owned by a private party now, but like Katie said, if there's a tax on something, it might make them want to sell it or release it so that something could be done there. And I'm sure that's a major undertaking to take that building down and make it usable. But there is other locations in our town that could be available, and I guess I don't know exactly the right way of doing it, but I know there's areas around the golf course. I know there's areas sort of north of Seagog that there's open land there. It'd be nice to figure out a way to do something with some of that property to make either affordable housing or people that want to move to Two Harbors just be able to purchase some of that land and build what they want and make it their home.
Thank you. And this question will go to candidate Cassell first. What do you love most about Two Harbors?
Pretty much everything. I love the town of Two Harbors. These are my roots. I love the people. I see people every single day. I enjoy talking to just about anybody. I like to talk. I like to meet new people. This area is so beautiful. Unfortunately, I left here for about 8 years, and I don't ever plan on doing that again. I just love being here. I love driving down and seeing them oarboats coming in and just watching them and how they maneuver. And I don't have a lot of negative things to say about Two Harbors. I just love being here.
Thank you. Candidate Cobbs, what do you love most about Two Harbors?
Well, I'm going to second almost everything Mike said, although my original roots aren't here. Unless you go back far enough, my great uncle used to captain oarboats, and they would vacation up here quite a ways back, so I do love that. But I think, again, what Mike said, it's the people that really make this city really amazing. I had some experience earlier in the year meeting a really great group of folks that I probably wouldn't have been involved with otherwise. And I kept saying, every time we would get in a room and have a conversation, how willing everyone was to listen to each other. And I think that in this day and age, that doesn't happen. You know, there was one instance where someone said, I think we should do this, and here's why. And someone felt comfortable enough to say, I don't think we should, and here's why. And the whole room came to a consensus. And you just don't see that much anymore. And I didn't see it much before them, before moving up here. I've lived in St. Cloud, I've lived in Minneapolis, I'm from Malacca. So that's a huge part of it. And the second part is the history. I said it, I majored in history. I love history. And Two Harbors is so rich in it, and it's so ingrained in everything that we do. You know, I'll talk about a building and someone will say, oh, that used to be the old fire hall. Or, you know, we have people come into where I work and say, I remember when this was the fire hall. Do you want to see some pictures of that? I mean, how cool is that? That doesn't happen everywhere. I love that. Or even with like the Edna G, people will send a message and be like, I've got these pictures from, 1930. Do you want them? Well, yeah, that's amazing. And I love how interweaved it is with everything about the town, from the buildings to how people talk about it. So, yeah.
Thank you. All right. I think the timing is really good. Well done. We are going to move to our closing comments, and we're starting with candidate Cobbs. So take 2 minutes to share your core values, what makes you who you are, help us to know you and know who we are voting for.
That's a lot for 2 minutes. Yeah, so like I said, I moved up here 6 years ago. I live up here with my wife. I love it. Dogs, cats, all of that. Part of what I love out here is being outside and enjoying just everything this area has to offer. Hiking, camping, snowshoeing, skiing. I've got it all. It currently lives in my spare room right now as far as equipment goes, so I can't fit any more. But some of the values I have is just trying to hear people out. I think myself included, we've lost a lot of that, and I don't love that. So I want to hear people. I want to meet people where they're at. I want to try really hard if we have a disagreement about something, to say, oh, we disagree about it. Let's go down to Harbor Rail and have a glass of wine and talk about it some more, or don't talk about it some more. Talk about something else. And I think that there are a lot of people in this town that have a lot of really great ideas. And so I want to just really be open to all of them as much as I can. I think that transparency leads a lot into that, and I think that we are all more successful when we listen to each other. I'm getting a little bit soapboxy, and there's my bell, so that's good. But yeah, I just love it up here, and all that, yeah.
Thank you. Candidate Cassell, take 2 minutes to share your core values, what makes you who you are, help us to know you, know who we would be voting for.
So Katie said a lot of good things there. I guess my core values are my family, from my wife to my children to my nieces and my nephews. I want to see them continue to want to be in Two Harbors as they age. And to my kids who have moved off, I would love to see them back in our area as soon as their careers take off the way they are hoping. Family is huge to me. I like to have discussions with people, whether I agree with them or disagree. You can always meet in the middle and get to understand what somebody else is thinking and realize, okay, I wasn't right. This is a great conversation, and be open about it and put it into action. Make things happen for the community and the town.
Thank you. I think that wraps up round one.
It does. Thank you, candidates. You guys can take a seat. We will transition to our Ward 1 candidates. So it's going to take us a couple minutes, and we'll get started just as soon as we've transitioned.
All right. Round two, we will begin with our 2-minute intros. Introduce yourself, where you come from, anything you want us to know about yourself to begin this. And we will start with candidate Woodruff.
Hi, my name is Miles Woodruff. I'm 39 years old. I've been a resident of Two Harbors for 37 years. I was born down in the cities and came up here when I was 2 years old. I've currently been on the council this is my 8th year on the city council. I have 3 kids, 3 boys, 17, 8, and a 5-year-old. I work at Canadian National Railway as a diesel mechanic. My interests are I love music, snowboarding, dirt biking, art, my girlfriend, hanging out with friends, going for walks, just being outside in nature around here. And I am running on housing and economic growth.
Thank you. All right. Candidate Hefter, will you introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Uriah Hefter. I live at 404 3rd Avenue. I'm running for City Council Ward 1 representative. I was originally born in Kansas City, Missouri, moved up here about 12 years ago, so I am a New Harborite, but certainly consider this my home. I am happy married to a Minnesota native, which would explain why we're all here. 3 kids, one in law school down in the cities, a 7th grade boy, and a daughter in 1st grade. I got involved in city politics about 8 years ago when we started moving forward with the CIP, and stayed involved with it because I kind of felt that not all of the voices of the community were being heard by the city council at the time, so that kept me involved. So I've enjoyed Two Harbors very much. We've made it our home. We have no plans to move anywhere, especially now that I've remodeled my kitchen. We're never leaving it. Mm-hmm. And my goal is to spend the rest of my life here and help out the city in any way I possibly can.
All right, thank you. Our first question will be directed to candidate Hefter. Help us understand the type of leader you will be for your constituents by describing your 2 highest priorities for Two Harbors in the short term and your single highest priority for the long term.
The type of listener or type of leader I would be a listener. Again, a big concern of mine was the lack of communication from the city to its residents and by its residents. So that said, 2 things that I have heard a lot in the short term, crosswalks and stop signs. It seems like a silly little thing, but I have kids. My kids go to school here. They like to go to parks. They like to go outside and play. There are a lot of opportunities, specifically in Ward 1, where there are long stretches of road that a car can accelerate up to, let's call it faster than the speed limit, and not need to stop as soon as they think they need to. I think crosswalks and stop signs go a long way to do that. Additionally, another short-term goal that I've got would be to update the city website. I think we've been sitting on the same website for at least as long as I've been here, which is about 12 years. Navigating that website is difficult, and I am fairly computer savvy, and it still bugs me that I don't just have a point-and-click link to be able to zoom into a city council meeting or find out who's on a board or find out who's on a commission. Those are 2 very, very simple things that you can do right now within the first couple of months to make ease of access better for our citizens. Long-term, I'm sure Miles and I are going to hear a lot about it and talk a lot about it. Housing is a huge thing in our city. We need to work on getting housing transitioned from things such as short-term rentals and older houses in town, using grant programs to allow the homeowners the opportunity to repair their home so that they can sell it, so that they can move into perhaps an age-in-place facility or can retire to a cabin out in the woods somewhere. So that would be my long-term.
Thank you. Same question for candidate Woodruff. Help us understand the type of leader you will be for your constituents by describing your 2 highest priorities for Two Harbors in the short term, your single highest priority for the long term.
the kind of leader I am is, I think I'm open-minded. I'm willing to hear all different sides. That's something you learn on the council, that there's a lot of different opinions and a lot of different views, and you have to be open-minded, willing to listen. You have to also be able to work with everybody, and having that open-mindedness is definitely an attribute that you need. Short term, I think we just need to continue working on the roads, and I think that they have a good handle on that right now. I think the CIP is functioning as it should, and it's a fluid document, so things can be changed. I think that's something that the short term, we just need to keep working on that. Long term definitely is would be fiscal responsibility with the city to make sure that we're staying in the positive. We've been really good on the books everywhere lately. We cleared golf course debt of $800,000. The campground's successful, the golf course is. We're working on building a new liquor store. I think it's just doing things to advance the city, make sure that we're staying positive. And yeah, and housing definitely is the long-term
All right.
goal.
Yep. Next question will go to candidate Woodruff first, and it's about housing. The available metrics suggest that we lack affordable housing in Two Harbors. What are your plans to address the problem, and are there policies used in other cities that you would or would not support implementing in Two Harbors?
Absolutely. There are a lot of things that people don't know is that there's bondings, grants, tax abatement. There's different ways to draw people in. You can, that we'll use the Cassell Danger Brewery, for example, that's a business, but you can give them tax abatement for 15 years where they don't have to pay taxes, and I think that would draw people in. I think the city needs to organize a portfolio that they can hand to a business developer and say, this is what we're offering you. It has to be attractive for them to come in here and want to build. I think we need to do our part to make it easier for them. All the land that we have needs to be put out to the public, that people have to know what we have. I think we need to expand infrastructure, and that's totally on the city's dime. I think to grow the city has to be willing to put down the money. And you can go down, there's bonding, like I said, you go down to the Capitol, and they're willing to give millions of dollars, and I think there's ways to do it, definitely.
Thank you. So now for candidate Hefter, the available metrics suggest that we lack affordable housing in Two Harbors. What are your plans to address that problem, and are there policies used in other cities that you would or would not support for Two Harbors?
First, I'll agree with you. The metric is 100% correct. I like the part about the issue from another city that I would support. Atlanta, Georgia has a policy as it relates to a short-term rental, that everybody who lives in Atlanta, Georgia can have one as long as their house is inspected, is licensed, and they pay the city filing fee. The caveat is they can only have one, and I really like that. Obviously, we had a very uncontrolled short-term rental market with applications and permits that were just kind of being handed out like candy at Heritage Day parades. Fortunately, that got rolled back to a point. Me personally, I don't think it got rolled back enough. You're looking at a housing market that is 66% more expensive than it was just 2 years ago. You're looking at a rental market that is 60% more expensive than it was 2 years ago. So A, we need to start to make sure that we're not depressing and artificially inflating the housing market as it is with the amount of short-term rentals that we have. Second, we need to look at existing homes and existing homeowners. Is there an opportunity for a homeowner to turn their house into perhaps an upstairs and downstairs duplex or a couple of apartments? Would they be interested in doing that? Can we start a city grant program that would help fund that for them and make that transition easier? Small and simple things with additional communication from the city with programs that are already in place or that can be quickly implemented would help go a long way to solve that housing crisis that we're currently experiencing and going to experience for a long time.
Thank you. Candidate Woodruff. What is your position on maintaining a balance between oh wait, I think I messed this up.
Yep, you have to go for Uriah.
Yes, sorry.
It's okay. No worries.
Uriah's first.
Woohoo.
All right. What is your position on maintaining a balance between environmental sustainability and economic development? How important is this balance, and is a good balance currently being maintained in Two Harbors?
I think that it is extremely important. I don't know that we as a city are doing enough collectively together to maintain that balance because I, quite frankly, don't see any of that happening. I think about the refit of the sewer plant, which is definitely a good decision. I support it 100%. However, during that refit, there were certainly opportunities to use some of our city dollars and some funding that we receive from the state to be able to make that a little more environmentally friendly. Simple things like hydroelectric sewer drains, which generate electricity from running water through a sewer system. These are very affordable, they're very straightforward to install, and we're talking about basically refitting a water sewer system that handles tens of thousands of gallons of water daily. Why wouldn't we put a little hydroelectric generator down there? At least offset the cost of the operation of the sewer system itself. Even if you can't generate a little bit more for the rest of the city, taking that off is a step in the right direction. Solar farms, I think, are a fantastic idea. We certainly have land around the city that would be helpful and available to be able to put those solar farms in. And even a solar program for homeowners in town that are maybe looking to lessen their independence. If you're really passionate about getting off of a fossil fuel, let's have a program that we can reach out to homeowners, give them the information clearly and transparently that they can say, hey, we've got money here for you, $500 or so, whatever that dollar amount is, so that you can then install some solar panels. We'll help you with orientation and implementation and help lessen your environmental impact by providing you an option to be a little more sustainable.
Thank you. Councilor, I keep saying that. Candidate Woodruff, what is your position on maintaining a balance between environmental sustainability and economic development? How important is this balance, and is a good balance currently being maintained in Two Harbors?
There's just one thing. The city cannot give any citizen money, so we wouldn't be able to do any of our money. We can't directly fund to any singular person. So, I mean, I definitely am in support of grants and getting people on board, but right now, I think the city does do a good job right now. There's the North Shore Management Board. They have a one plan and one watershed. They have guidelines to building by the shoreline with erosion. Right now we're upgrading the sewer plant. I think that's huge. We have been recognized as a green city, meaning we meet certain criteria over the years that we're doing the right thing, that we meet certain guidelines. I think there's wetland delineation. I think that there's a lot of steps right now that we are economically, with nature responsible. I think there's room for improvement, absolutely. So I don't know how expensive solar farms or those other options are, but I think it's definitely worth looking into. But I think we do the best we can right now to be sustainable.
Thank you. This question is for candidate Woodruff first. What is your vision for the waterfront at Agate Bay? Putting aside any current barriers of ownership, financing, or zoning, what would your plan for the waterfront be?
This is something we've been going over for my entire time on the council. Just to throw it out, the DNR does own it, but we'll say take that away. That's why it's kind of been a struggle up to this point. I think we definitely need to get it cleaned up first and foremost, and I think there needs to be a starting point. I've been on the Energy Commission for 8 years, and what I would like to see is that thing come out of the water and be a focal point. You have to start somewhere. I think I still want to keep it simple and beautiful down there. I'm a fan of music. I'd like to keep it like surrounding areas. You take Grand Marais or Duluth for example. There's the Rose Gardens. There's the boardwalk down Canal. We already have the break wall. I think that's huge. Just to be able to walk out on the break wall is beautiful in itself. I think they need maybe some small shops down there. It needs to be cleaned up. We've went for brownfield grants over the years to get it cleaned up down there. Maybe a partnership with the DNR so that the city could get it. And I think most importantly, constituent input of what they would like to see down there. I think it could be simple without overdoing it or taking away from the waterfront, like a park and energy, and there's a lot of trails down there already. Maybe the beach be a little bit more, I don't know, prettier somehow. But I think you can take examples from surrounding cities that have a beautiful waterfront and implement some of those ideas.
Thank you. And now for candidate Hefter, what is your vision for the waterfront at Agate Bay? Putting aside any current barriers of ownership, financial, or zoning, what would your plan for the waterfront be?
This is like being a kid at Christmas and just saying, which page of the toy book would you like? So I actually ran for city council 8 years ago, and I ran with this idea then, and I'm staying with the idea now because I think it's fantastic. I want a YMCA. I am a big advocate because I probably have kids, and all of my friends are generally people who are younger families like myself that have kids. of getting our community behind an idea and an opportunity to do something specifically for our community. Talk about moving ECFE classes down to the YMCA, having an exposed outdoor seasonal splash pad for kids to be able to play in, having a drive-in movie theater wall where the movie could be projected onto the wall. You have that nice big parking lot down there anyway that you could sit and watch that movie. The movie could actually be broadcast on our local radio station, so you could tune right in on your radio and listen easily. Tons of opportunities for meetings, board commission meetings, city commission meetings to happen down at the YMCA, and then obviously the interior workout facilities, the track to keep people active and involved during the cold winter months. I like getting out and going ice fishing, and that's how I stay involved, but not everybody's into that, and that's okay. So a YMCA that would actually benefit the citizens of our city and help draw people from surrounding areas to our city to take advantage of it would be the first thing on my waterfront wish list.
All right, thank you. And now you are the first for this question, candidate Hefter. Do you think it is advisable for the Festival of Sail to come to Two Harbors again? Why or why not? And what beneficial changes in the event would you like to see if it returns?
Yes, I think it would be advisable for the Festival of Sail to come back. I do want to say, which I think we all have said and will say and will agree on, that Chief Hoganson and the local police department did an amazing job. I really enjoyed, I was volunteering during that time with a local organization, and I really enjoyed talking to the police officers from out of town. It was really fun to chat with them and kind of get their perspective on the festival. The one thing that I would focus on more as a counselor would be more involvement with our local businesses. I don't feel that they were as involved and benefited as much as they possibly could have during the Festival of Sail. I think there was a fantastic opportunity that was missed to say, hey, let's get our local vendors down there first. We know that the bulk of the action is going to be happening down in Agate Bay. Let's get you down there first. Let's, waive the charge for the food booth or for this display or for this opportunity to sell this product. And I'm kind of regretful that that was the case. I know very much we were all under the gun and a lot of things happened in a very short period of time. So I think with a little bit more planning, a little more long-term vision, and some involvement with our local businesses, an event like the Festival of Sail would be profitable and fun for everyone in Two Harbors.
Thank you. Candidate Woodruff, do you think it is advisable for the Festival of Sail to come to Two Harbors again? Why or why not? And what beneficial changes in the event would you like to see if it returns?
Yes, absolutely. I think we could do it again. I just want to throw this out there. They rotate on a 3-year cycle. The next time they would ever be back would be 2028, I believe. And MnDOT's doing the road in 2025, so we won't have to touch this one for at least 6 years. But I'm definitely a fan of it. I think we've proven that we can do it successfully from a safety standpoint. Public Works picked up a bunch of materials they need for road closures. I think we have the materials needed to do it. And just seeing some of the disappointment, there was supposed to be a Shenandoah concert, and seeing the disappointment in people of not having events. I think there is a limited amount of things to do in Two Harbors. So I think it's great anytime the city can take advantage of putting on an event and have something for the people to go out and do. And the way is I would like to see it change. Yeah, that's usually a 2-year planning event, and I feel like we had about 6 months. It came about in September, but the council really never heard much about it until February or March. And it was a mad scramble to try to get it done. And there was a lot of nervousness and there was a lot of worry. We never put on an event of this size. And I was pleasantly surprised. I think the police department and everybody involved did a great job. And then what I would change about it farther is I agree with Uriah that I would allow the public to have access to the vendors. I'd waive the fee or work something out with the Festival of Sail so that anybody going down to the break wall could purchase from food trucks. And yeah, more local business support. Maybe the bus could stop at different eateries or make a plan. I think we actually had more traffic that weekend. There was 500 to 800 more cars, but there was no left turns. So it really seemed like there was no traffic in town. And I think that was probably one of the biggest things. I think a lot of the local restaurants prepared for a whopping, like the way it was presented is that, you're gonna be packed all day, and I don't think that was the case. So maybe if we could figure out a way to get people to see more of the town than just, because I think they had the parking all out of town, which is understandable, but some way to get them more involved with more businesses in Two Harbors.
Thank you. Next question is for candidate Woodruff first. What is your sorry. Moving to the next question. Tell us about any potential conflicts of interest you may encounter and what your approach will be to address any perception of a conflict and to eliminate or avoid any real conflict of interest.
The only possible conflict of interest, my girlfriend owns a shop in town. That's about the only conflict of interest I have. Nothing's ever came to the council on that. I don't believe I have any conflicts of interest. And if you do, I think there's a clear guideline of what you do. You have to be upfront and say it right away. It's really not a complicated issue, and I think it got not blown out of proportion. That's the wrong way to put it. I think everybody, when you're elected on the council, you go down for newly elected officials, and they make it perfectly clear what a conflict of interest is. And so knowing the rules, knowing your duties is the way that you avoid any conflict of interest. You just be clear and transparent about it. So I don't believe I have any conflict of interest, and I know how to handle it if I did.
Thank you. Candidate Hefter, tell us about any potential conflict of interest you may encounter and what your approach will be to address any perception of a conflict and to eliminate or avoid any real conflict of interest.
I don't have any conflicts of interest. I think the only potential would be that I was on the first run of the CIP 7 years ago. My alley got redone. I got assessed for that, and I paid for that assessment, so I'm off the hook there. Aside from that, I don't believe I have any conflicts of interest, and if something came up, we would just address it as that when that happened, but I don't think there would be anything, because other than that, there's nothing.
All right. Thank you. Next question is for candidate Hefter first. How do you serve this community already, and will this change if you win? Could you just share your thoughts about that?
Sure. I serve now by volunteering. My volunteering seems to morph through the time that I've been here. When I got here initially, I volunteered a lot at the local food shelf. That kind of transitioned into volunteering at the local radio station. I was there volunteering for 5 years, hosting a radio show, which was very fun. Stopped doing the radio show, and now I'm volunteering locally with some sports teams. I have a couple of kids, obviously, in school. One of them is playing sports. So earlier today, I was up running the clock at the middle school football game because they didn't have anybody. Before that, I've run the chain. So if you need a guy for football, you can talk to me. I can help you out. But in addition to that, I do some volunteering with community partners. I'll actually be calling their bingo game here in just a week or so, right before Halloween down at the community center. So if you're looking for a fun time, come on down and play some bingo. But volunteering is kind of how I'm helping serve this community now, and I don't foresee any of that changing. I mean, obviously, I'd be volunteering my time and working hard for the city if I was fortunate enough to get elected, and I would continue volunteering even if I'm not, because I really enjoy the area and I like meeting people, and it's a fun way to spend your free time.
Thank you. Candidate Woodruff, how do you serve this community already, and will this change if you win? Could you share your thoughts about that?
No, I wouldn't change it all. I would definitely, hopefully, have the honor of serving on any committees or commissions after. I would still want to stay involved. After you've been in it, you really get involved, and I would just want to stay that way. I'm involved right now. I do volunteer my time on a few. I'm on the Lake County Ambulance Service Board of Directors. I've been down to the NG many times, helping Tom Kohler fix different things. I think supporting local businesses, and then just raising children, respectable children to live in the community is your part, so that they all have something to contribute as they get older. I think just being one community, being safe, and teaching them manners is how you can contribute to the community.
Thank you. This question will be for candidate Woodruff first. What are the biggest challenges that Two Harbors faces, and what do you envision as the best way to address them?
The biggest challenges that Two Harbors faces, recently it was coming back and being united as a community. I think this year was definitely my hardest year on the council. I think it was the hardest year on the community that we've all seen in a long time. Coming all back together and working for common goals, I think, is a big issue. This is besides housing. I think housing is an obvious one, but I think it kind of divided Two Harbors there for a while, and rightfully, maybe not rightfully so, but I think it drove a wedge between people, and I don't think that's how you accomplish things, is by like divide and conquer. I think you have to have people in there for the right reason and that care and love about the community, and I think that's the biggest thing, is to come all back together and work together for the betterment of the community.
Thank you. So now for candidate Hefter. What are the biggest challenges that Two Harbors faces, and what do you envision as the best way to address them?
Of the many, am I on? Oh, I'm on, sorry. Of the many challenges that our city is facing, I think the fastest and best way to address them is to restore trust in our local government. Just like Councilor Woodruff said, we had a pretty hard year as a city, and I don't know that it divided as many people as many think it divided, but I think the trust and the transparency in local government was clearly muddied. The easiest way to get back together, get back to the table, and have those communications and have those difficult conversations to come to a consensus and solve these issues that we're facing is to restore trust in our local government. The fastest way to do that is for our local government to be transparent, our local government to be honest, and our local government to actually listen to the voices of our citizens and our community.
Thank you. And the final question will be for candidate Hefter first. What do you love most about Two Harbors?
I love the environment and not the weather because it was awfully cold at the football field today. The environment of people. I said it before, I'm a new Harborite. I've only been here for 12 years. So we did what I would commonly expect a lot of people do when they move to a community. We started joining small organizations. We took our kids to ECFE. We started volunteering. We spent a lot of time at the library. That was a fun place too. The welcomeness and the availability of people to help answer silly questions like, when does the hardware store open, was wonderful and fantastic. There was never a silly question, especially as somebody moved in from out of state. You know, I didn't go exactly as far as, you know, where do you go to see the whales, but I certainly had a lot of silly questions as to the area, ease of access for things, where lakes were, you know, when things were open. And the people that live in my neighborhood, that live in Ward 1, that live around the city, were always so kind and helpful and welcoming, and that just was a big tank filler for me and my family. So the environment and the welcomeness of the people of the city was something that just made a big impression on me when I got here, and is certainly the thing that I love the most about Two Harbors.
Thank you. Candidate Woodruff, what do you love most about Two Harbors?
I love the diversity that it offers. I love the fact that it's safe. I feel safe. I guess that's a perception of safe, but I have always felt safe here to raise a family. I like the different opportunities it provides. If you want to go be with people, you can in the city. And I've walked my dog down the street in the afternoon and feel like it's a ghost town. At the same time, you can go down by the lake on the trails and feel like you're in the country. And at the same time, we have a lot of stuff right around us that provides an opportunity of things to do, like hunting, fishing. I spent a lot of time up at Cadet Lake this summer. I like all it has to offer, and I do love the people most. There's never a time I go out in my car anywhere that I don't run into somebody that I know. So it's nice to catch up with people, and I love it for the fact that I think it's special, and I didn't realize it growing up as a kid of how beautiful it is. And I've never went away, but even when I go on vacation, I want to come back. I'm like, Two Harbors is really, I've never found a place that I love more than Two Harbors. So I don't even know exactly what it is. It's comfortable here, and it's pleasant.
Thank you. We are now going to go into our closing remarks. You each have 2 minutes. And we start with candidate Hefter. Give us 2 minutes to share your core values that make you who you are. Help us to know you and know who we would be voting for.
Thank you. I want to thank, obviously, everyone for hosting and having us here, and thanks for Councilor Woodward for showing up, too. So it's fun. We never get to sit together and have a cup of coffee, but we always seem to have more in common than we don't. So it's always fun. So thanks for being here. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
So core values for me are my family. Obviously, being far away from my family and my wife's family as well, we're kind of on an island. So having ourselves to look with and for, and then in extending that out into the community has just been a great joy and a really wonderful sense of personal pride for me to be involved in a community and be a member of an active community that knows that if you get together and you work hard, that you can get things done together. So that's kind of my core values, and just really appreciate the opportunity to be involved in a small town and have the chance to run for local office.
Thank you. Candidate Woodruff, 2 minutes to share your core values that make you who you are. Help us to know you, know who we are voting for.
I wrote down some words. So I would like to think of myself as open-minded, have integrity, respectful, fun, family, love, and God or spirituality. Those would be my core values. I think family being at the top of them. That's the most important thing to me. And I think probably the most important of all of them is love. Just the care about people. I think that's the whole reason that I've done this, is because I care about Two Harbors and I care what's best for everybody. And I feel like I have been transparent and accountable through my whole term. I'm always willing to talk to anybody about anything. All you got to do is approach me, and we can talk about it. So I don't feel that I haven't. I think the city has done leaps and bounds to become more transparent with broadcasting, and this is the first event we've ever had. We just had interviews on the radio, so I think they've definitely taken steps in the right direction, and so I think we're on the right track.
Great, thank you. Candidates Cobbs, Cassell, Woodruff, and Hefter, we appreciate you. We appreciate you taking the time to come and speak to the community tonight. We'd also like to thank the Two Harbors Community Television, Jose Leon, and the forum sponsors, which are the local concerned citizens. We were who wanted to put this together, and we appreciate that it was all brought together, to your point, Miles. Also like to thank the Lake County Press, KTWH Radio, and Two Harbors Media. This forum will be replayed before the November 8th election on KTWH 99.5 FM and on ktwh.org online. Stay tuned for details, and the forum will be available to be viewed in a day or so from the city's website, twoharborsmen.gov, and from the cable TV page, accessed from the City Department's tab on the homepage, and it's on YouTube. I think that's where you end up going. Again, thank you. Thank you, everyone who came tonight. Really appreciate it. And that's a wrap.